and Lizzie Marsters. Lizzie's going to talk about the red building that Ecotrust is building, and I'm just going to turn it completely over to you and let you talk about the beauty going on there.
Great. Thank you so much. My name is Lizzie Marsters. I'm the Program Director of Forest and Ecosystem Services at Ecotrust, and I'm here to talk about our new development plan project. And I'm going to talk specifically about Red East. And given the time limitations, I'm going to go very quickly through the plan, but please feel free to come up to me afterwards, and I'm happy to talk about any and all of this project. The Red East is this campus that Ecotrust has developed, and it's a 2-block campus. There's Red West that has already been opened and established for like 2 years, and this is a food distribution warehouse. And the idea behind that is to scale up farmers and ranchers who are doing good work and get it to market. And so that is helping Portland eat good food, local food raised there, and beeline distribution, bikes all that food out to grocery stores. So it's a really awesome model. That is a food and farms thing. I'm focused on wood here. So I'm going to talk about Red East, which is the second part of the block. And this is sorry that it's a little blurry, but this is a world-class event center, and this is a huge main hall, and I just want to orient you because I'm going to go pretty quickly through what type of wood is where. And then here is a boardroom conference room, and then the main hallway, and then we have a kitchen that everyone can come in and cook and show what they're cooking and how to cook it, and so trying to do a demonstration cooking. And then this is an office space. And the Red East was originally in 1914 an ironworks building, and just notice the framework that has been maintained throughout 106 years. This is when Ecotrust purchased the building in 2015. This is what it looked like on the outside, and this is what it looked like from the inside. And this is a beautiful, wonderful piece that we still have there. I'll show you in a second. But if you look, the inside is a little bare of wood. So we just opened it in December, and this is the outside, and this is red cedar coating on the outside, and we've really changed the look of it. And on the inside, we have this huge event center, and it's really fabulous to go in there, and you just look at this beautiful wood that I'm here to talk about. Peter asked us to define what is good wood. Good wood is often, wood is often treated as a commodity. And there are 3 aspects of a commodity that makes it that makes wood a commodity in this market. And one is that there is no regard to who produced it. You can buy a commodity product, and that doesn't matter who produced it, where it was grown, or what was going on. There's typically in a commodity market a well-established spot market or derivatives market. So you can go out there, and it helps everybody on the supply-demand chain make sure that you can get the lowest cost. And to do that, when it's a competitive market, there's often smaller margins associated with it, and it means that the only driver is price. To me, good wood is a niche product. It takes into account the positive externalities associated with growing wood. You take into account the production. You take into account the fact that there's our forests can do more than just grow timber, that they can also do carbon sequestration, habitat protection, biodiversity, increase water quality, water quantity, increase jobs. And so in short, good wood, to me, is something that takes into more value than just the way the timber is grown. And niche products often require branding so you can recognize them in the marketplace. FSC is a good proxy for that recognition of a good, strong grown wood. And so at Ecotrust, we call this climate smart wood. So it's about fire risk reduction, it's about forest restoration, and it's trying to identify and make that market signal so you can purchase that wood. And Sustainable Northwest does a really good job of selling that wood. Forgive those who are furniture, but this is a typical commodity supply chain when you're doing a building. And I'm putting this up here because I want to just highlight the fact that Ecotrust did something very different and is trying to go against the dominant paradigm of a supply chain. Typically you go from harvesting to a mill drying, and each of these steps is disconnected from the other. So the farther and farther apart you're getting from the forest and the production side of it. So oftentimes a finished building doesn't exactly know where the wood came from. What we did as an Ecotrust bypassed this whole system, and we knew the landowner that we wanted to purchase the wood from. And so this caused some issues, but we'd like to see that happen more often, that an increase in transparency in the supply chain so you know where your wood came from. So getting very specific. This is 2,300 square foot of Port Orford cedar, and this is that conference room I was showing you in the back, and it's just beautiful. You walk into this and you can smell the cedar. And this was donated by the Coquille tribe who manage their lands as an FSC certification process, and this is from their Sequency property. And EFM, which is a for-profit affiliate of Ecotrust, who is an investment forest manager, purchased this property, and then in 2015 sold it to the tribe so they could help with the repatriation of their homeland and the forest property. And so the Coquel, in this partnership, donated it back to Ecotrust for this building. And here we see the harvester who harvested the red cedar that was then all trucked and logged to Ecotrust, milled on site, and stored on site. So we know exactly where this wood is coming from, we know how it was made, and we know how this was processed. Then we also used nearly 10,000 linear feet of this 130-year-old reclaimed Douglas fir for the windows and wall base. And you'll see it in the bathroom. It's just beautiful old Doug fir, and that's one of the only old growth you'll see around here is these refurbished place. We got this from Pine Street Market, taking up their flooring and refurnishing it so it looks beautiful with a nice new polish. Finally, we got 20,900 square feet of hemlock paneling, and that's what's in that main event squareway, and it looks beautiful. And we got this from EFM's Garibaldi property, which is just upstream of Garibaldi, when they own about 4,800 acres up there. And Garibaldi is a fishing town. It has a bunch of commercial and recreational fishermen in that town who depend on salmon for their livelihood. And Garibaldi is managed increased riparian buffer zones in order, and there's, sorry, I should say, that there's 2 streams that go through Garibaldi, and it's managed to increase salmon habitat and to increase both the downstream economic benefits for Garibaldi, but also for the forest. So we harvested hemlock, this hemlock from the Garibaldi, and Kevin Castor, who's right here, processed, I love this alliteration, so I just have to say it, Kevin Castor of Castor's Custom Cutting, milled our wood, which is piled here, and then he milled it in his place, and it was trucked here to be put into these walls. And I really highly encourage you to come visit because it's just exquisite. But there's also a huge challenge in this. As I pointed out in the supply chain, that is the dominant paradigm, and it's really hard whenever you go outside of that dominant paradigm and you request something different. You request a niche product. So you have, but the benefits are there. You know where and how your wood was grown. But we had some timing challenges. You have to align the landowner's harvest schedule with what you need in your building project. There's a liability in storage. Ecotrust, as the owner of this wood, was owner throughout the entire process, which means it costs us a tiny bit more money, maybe more money. And then there's limited flexibility in sourcing. You don't get to just go around and pick whoever is there. It's taking what the price is because we know who we want to work with. And there's definitely a higher touch required. And there's a knowledge of the wood supply chain in order to make each and touch points of those to make what you want at the end product. So this is our belief that as citizens we should care where our good wood comes from. There's impacts in those communities and we support rural communities and create that link between urban and rural by purchasing this type of wood. And we want to help you guys, just as Sustainable Northwest does, to source that wood and find good wood purchases. So come and tour our Red Campus. Come talk to us about how you can find good wood. We've got NNRG here, we've got Sustainable Northwest, we've got Kevin Castor. There's a great group of people that are working on this effort. And that is it. Thanks. Where is it located? So the red, which stands for, it's a great nesting spot for salmon and steelhead fish. It's sort of, their nest is called a red. So it's on Salmon Street, just off of 7th and 8th. Southeast? Southeast.
So I've shown this project to clients because I'm like, this is an inspirational story about how you can know where your wood comes from. But they get discouraged because they're like, well, we don't own our own forests like this project. So what would you say to them to help assuage that?
I'd say it's worth it. And you have to pursue, with FSC, that's one of the things we're trying to do is increase that whole supply chain so you know where your wood comes from. FSC is one way to know at least it is managed in a way that is sustainable. But the other half of this is really trying to push forward so that the mill keeps track of those logs and you know where the forest owner is. The other piece of this that's really hard is the fact that the forest loaner oftentimes doesn't get the premium paid back to them for growing this type of wood. And we'd really like to see that happen all the way back through that supply chain. And the only way we do it is if we keep pushing and demanding to know where our wood is from.
Thank you, Lizzie. I'm really excited to see the inside of the space. I haven't been there yet, so appreciate that. So.